I'm very impressed with everybody in the room. You guys seem like y'all are just kind of go-getters, and I feel like this industry, like more and more women are like curious about it, and I love that. It's really cool. So I'm gonna kind of slide through this. First, I wanted to just start out talking about me personally. This is our little one. His name's George. He's 6 months old.
Oh my gosh.
He is like the most bundle of joy baby. I know I have to say that because he's small, but really he is. Matt Teifke won a Burt Reynolds contest. He actually won that night. Everybody he looks exactly like Burt Reynolds when he has a mustache.
Yeah.
He actually owns this red leather jacket, believe it or not. So I grew up in Houston. When Matt and I met in Corpus, that's where I went to school. Got my degree in education, so I taught second grade for 2 years. Matt and I met in Corpus. We moved to College Station after we graduated because Matt got his master's in real estate in College Station. So while he was getting his real estate master's degree, I was teaching and just kind of supporting, getting us by. And I was really interested in kind of what he was doing. He got his license when he was 19. And so I was always kind of his little cheerleader, but never really got involved that much. I just kind of helped. I knew how to write a contract. I knew how to do everything. So once after teaching for a year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start working my license over the summer. So got my license and didn't really do anything with it until we moved to Austin. We partnered with a company from College Station to do property management. They manage 2,000 doors, and we're like, oh, you guys got it figured out. It's so easy to think the big guys have it figured out. They have all of these systems, and you just see so much. But little secret, nobody in property management has it figured out. Nobody. It is just a hard industry. So if you can just own that and just accept it, you will be much better off because it's just hard. So partnering with them and being in Austin, once we moved to Austin, they didn't really have much support for us. We learned a lot from them, but the direction they were going and the direction we wanted our company to go was just very different. We wanted a funkier, fun market vibe or marketing strategy, and we just wanted to kind of dive into the Austin culture. And my husband's from Austin, so we felt like we understood how to get involved that way, and they didn't. So anyways, we ended up launching Tree Homes, which stands for Teifke Real Estate, but we love that what a tree represents for real estate. So there's a Bible verse that I think it's Ephesians something. I'll send it to you if you want it, but about the roots going into the ground and creating a strong foundation for you, and we feel like that's exactly what real estate does. And a tree provides shade, and there's so much about the tree that is so symbolic for us. Also, we love that there's branches. So we are structured with branches. I feel that it's hard for one person to be good at everything. Accounting, leasing, and maintenance, it's hard to, you become very stretched thin when you're in property management. There's a lot to it. So we're structured with branches. We have a maintenance supervisor, a leasing specialist, and accounting specialist. So that's the way we're set up. So I think I went over that. I love reading, I love cooking, running, playing tennis, and of course playing with George. Who wouldn't, right? Our core values with the TRE is team. All of our team we're a family, we really are. We've known each other for a long time, but we have each other's back, and I think that's important in property management too. And find other people who just have your back and will support you through this. Reputation, we're big on that with owners. If an owner or a tenant is going to mess up our reputation, an owner doesn't believe in taking good care of their property or taking good care of their tenants, then we're not the property management for them. And we just do our job with enthusiasm. A lot of people call and they're stressed. From tenants to owners, there's always a problem if they're calling you, right? So we try and bring a positivity to it, which it is hard, but that's one of the things that we stand firm on. So our cause is creating generational wealth and financial freedom. And our niche is rental property management and portfolio growth. Already talked about the 3 branches. Right now we manage 275 single family, 100 multifamily, and 200 HOAs. Our passion is real estate. We feel like for a long time everybody thought like, oh, you have to be this like heavy investor with lots of money to get involved, and we like to bring it to a lot of people no matter how old you are. Like, you can get involved in this. It's for everybody. That's what we believe, and if the younger you can start, can just create a lot of generational wealth. So we really urge a lot of our friends. Matt's been awesome at just pushing a lot of his people to get involved, and it's cool. Matt's phone's constantly ringing because everybody's like, how do you do it? You know, and the secret is Matt just was like, I'm not going to be scared. I'm just going to jump in. So he did when he was 19, and that's really why I'm here today. So I think too, it's also just important to think about what your strategy is. It's great to get in clubs like this and to learn from other people. I definitely recommend that. But just think about what you want to do and what your strategy is, because everybody's is so different. So our strategy personally has been, we move like every 6 months, and everybody's like, you guys are so crazy. So my son is 6 months old, and he has lived in 3 houses. What? We literally will when we process it, we're like, wait a minute, that's so crazy. So we find a new deal and we go after it. And the house we were set up with first, when we had George, I was like, oh, I want to stay here for a long time. And we realized that we could sell it for. And then we found another deal like right at the same time that was a flip, and we're like, okay, our strategy makes sense if we sell this, buy this house, flip it. And then I was like, I really want to live in that one. And we're like, oh, great, let's do the 2-year hold strategy. That way we'll save on our taxes. So we moved to this other one, and we're there like 6 months, and Matt's like, okay, you're going to kill me. And I'm like, are we moving? Yes. So literally like that Friday we moved. It's nuts. So if anybody wants to learn more about that, I can tell you the whole story. But it's crazy, but it is. It's part of our strategy, and it's now I can see how it's, you like when you're in the moment, it's a lot of things suck, right? Like you're just like, oh, I hate this. But then if you can like push through it all of a sudden you look back at like 3 years later and you're like, wow, actually turned into something. It's really cool. So okay, so now we'll get into what you guys actually want to talk about, finding and analyzing the deal. So I'm just going to give you a little disclosure. I am purely operations. I love finding deals. I help Matt analyze them when he has a deal. Is like, hey, what do you think about this? We go look at them all the time together. But my value is on the management side. I am the head. My title is Director of Operations at Tree Homes. I have an awesome team under me, but I'm super involved on the day-to-day with that. So property management questions, I'm your girl. Analyzing the deal, I'm going to tell you what I look for, what Matt and I do together. I'm going to start with my tips for buying an investment property. So first, I just look at the area. How many rental properties are on the market in that area? That's going to be my first thing that I kind of dive into. And how long have they been sitting on the market? I have had a lot of investors from out of state hand me a brand new, beautiful home, move-in ready, and it sits because there's 12 properties in the same neighborhood, and they're brand new. And tenants are just like buyers in a sense. They want something that's a little bit different, especially in Austin. So one of the things I love to do, every single house that Matt and I have acquired, when we walk in, I ask myself, would I want to live here? Does it have something like charming about it? Could it be a home for somebody else? Because that's what a tenant's going to look for too. They're going to make it their home. So just the cookie cutter thing, we try to stay away from. And then jobs in the area, you want to think long term. A lot of people are looking at way down the road, like how Austin is growing, and they want to like invest on the outskirts. And that's a good strategy too. That's just not our strategy. We like to look like where are jobs right now, where are most people flooding into. Because that's like, to me, it gets a little scary when you think like downturn. You always want to be able to survive that, right? So if there's a lot of jobs centrally, and once you start getting in the outskirts, those jobs start to fade quicker. I already said, would you live in the rental property, uniqueness, and how can you stand out? We always like to do special things to our rental properties so tenants do feel like it's their home. The rental world is changing. Austin is becoming more and more rental properties, and so you want to treat your tenants like they're your customer, and you want to make it to where they feel like really comfortable there. And so like little upgrades that you can do to just like make it really comfortable, I think really helps a lot. So price versus expense, is it worth it if it's appreciating? So what I mean by this, Matt and I, one of the houses, we've lived in all of our properties, but one of my favorites was in Lakeway, and we found, I had been waiting on a deal to pop up in Lakeway that was under 300 for like 3 months. Finally found one, I loved it, we went under contract that day. We went under contract without you even seeing it, remember? He was like mad at me, he's like, are we sure? I'm like, I promise this is a good deal. Well, when we moved out of that house and rented it out, we were negative cash flow of $75 a month. And we tossed around the idea, should we sell it? What should we do with this? And we're like, no, it's gonna start appreciating. I'm like, it was the only deal under 300, and that was like a year ago. And now what we did, we refinanced that and took some money out so we could go buy another property. And now we're still cash flowing, even if with taking money out, because the rents have gone up, it's appreciated. So sometimes it's worth it. So my advice is don't just look at the 1% rule, and I'll explain that in a minute. Like, look at more of like, where do you see this area going? What is the appreciation like in the past? Do you think it's going there in the future? And then maintenance. I am just a huge believer, being in the property management world, seeing how frustrating it is for tenants to continue to have to put in maintenance requests. Just do it up front. Spend the money, get it make ready, make it awesome first. Move the tenants in, then they don't have to call you. You can spend your time going and finding new deals, and the tenants will probably stay longer because they're happy with it. Tenants, the number one reason tenants don't renew is because they're annoyed with maintenance. Especially if you're an owner that nickel and dimes and wants to send out 3 guys to get quotes, your tenants are not going to renew. Don't do it. Just get it done. Fix it the right way, and fix it all before you put it on the market. Refinancing. You mentioned the BRRRR method, so it means buy, or it stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance. We love doing this. What did I say?
No, and repeat.
Oh, and repeat. No. Did I miss an R?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me the other R. I like that. That's really good. Repeat. Yeah. That's a great method. I mean, if you can, especially like, one of ours should be an M in there for move in. But honestly, when you move into a property, you really know what's wrong with it. We had a beer. Yes, right? But the reality is that you're kind of like, you get to experience all like the annoyances of it before a tenant moves in. So like all of our tenants have loved us and the property because we've like made it really nice while we're living there. What else was I gonna say? I don't know what I thought. Repeat. Just repeat.
You're just about Airbnb.
Oh, we have an Airbnb guy that we're working with, and he will not take on a new property unless he stays in it for one night and comes up with a big list. Because Airbnb, I mean, you have one thing that's wrong, and you might have a tenant that blows you up on reviews, and that's a huge deal in the VRBO world. So I really like that about him. That's definitely good. And then the next thing about tips for investment is just get creative with financing. Matt's really good at this, like finding, just think bigger, right? Think, how can I get the money to make this deal work? If it's a good deal, you'll figure it out. I'm like, there's no way we can do another deal, and then Matt makes it happen. So yeah, just get creative with it. So here's some of Matt's strategies. First of all, his first strategy is he doesn't sleep, so you're out. No, but really, like, if his phone rings, it's 11 o'clock at night, he's in a deep sleep, he will answer it. Like, he is 100% committed, and I think that's what it takes. Like, are you committed or are you not? And, I mean, he's, like, constantly finding new people on Facebook to message and just reaching out to anybody that he can connect with, because really, this industry is all about connections. So if you can learn that and just dive in, and I know it's hard if you're like an introvert and you really just want to like be at home, but just dive in. So Pre-foreclosures, if you can find a pre-foreclosure deal, of course, I'm sure all of you guys know this, but try to make it work. We've had a couple of deals. It can be risky, especially if you're wrapping the mortgage. Your name's not on the mortgage, your name's on the deed. What do you do if you have to, something bad happens, which Matt just filed a writ of possession on one of our properties. We had to do an eviction. Sucks. But we did a mortgage wrap, and the lady was like, I can't come up with this back payment, but I can definitely pay my mortgage every month. And so we ended up signing a lease with her, which we've done plenty of times. That's not, I think that's a great strategy. If you can get the owner of the property to live there. Because the other thing is they're never going to ever put in a maintenance request. They take care of it like it's their home. Well, hopefully. I mean, unless, yeah, y'all get it. But yeah, this lady lived there for 4 months, and she was always behind, like always on the 15th. I'd be like, I'm gonna have to file eviction on you, and she wouldn't answer her phone. And then all of a sudden, like the 16th of the month, she'd finally pay. Like she was totally hiding from us. I'm like, lady, I sent her this like long email, and I got mad. I'm like, if you would just communicate with me, I can work with you, but you won't call me, you won't email me, like, and then your rent's just paid like out of nowhere. So anyways, it finally ended in an eviction. She was 2 months behind before we evicted her because Matt was like, no, she's going to pay. I know she's going to pay. And he blew her up. He left her this long voicemail, and he's like pacing. He's like, I have a baby. I trusted you. He like went deep. I was like, wow, this is like, she like stirred up some stuff. So we were really worried about the eviction because her name is on the mortgage. And we're listed as a third party, but what if she says, screw you guys, and calls her mortgage person and takes us off as a third party, and then she goes into foreclosure again? Then what? That was like my biggest fear, because now she's mad at us because we evicted her. So it can get messy. I mean, it still might, but if you can figure out a way to, I don't know, just not be scared of it. Just try it. We might get burned on that one, and it is what it is. But you might be able to acquire another property. So you're thinking to sell that one right now. So anybody wants another property? Okay, and then just network like crazy. He always trying to find new networking deals to go to. And then ABC, always be closing. That's his motto. Meet as many wholesalers and add value however you can. So he, like running comps for wholesalers, he has a lot of great relationships with them. So they'll call him and be like, hey, do you think this is a good deal? Do you think this is what it's worth? Would you pay this for that? And Matt a lot of times will be like, no, or yes, so I think that's big if you can help on that end. Sorry, not where excuses. There it goes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then always be on the lookout, driving for dollars, making calls, etc. One of our golden rules, and Matt told me this secret a long time ago. I used to be obsessed with like, it's Saturday. Okay, cool. Like the week's over. We don't have to work now. Because that's like the teacher mentality. Like you work Monday through Friday and then you chill on the weekend. That's what you do. And Matt was like, no, you need to like reset your mind. Sunday is the same as a Monday. Friday is the same as a Tuesday. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So if you can kind of just get that in your head that it doesn't matter what day it is. If you're driving and you're on your way to, grandma's house to hang out at the pool, but then you see a good deal and somebody calls you and they want you to come over, like, it's all good. Go check it out. See if there's something there. I think only staying in your lane can really be not as good in this industry. Mailers, calls, Facebook messages. We do it all. We do the signs. He had a sign in our yard for a long time. And then finding below value properties, add value on management, and think long term. I pick neighborhoods where I would live. That's just my strategy.
On your rentals, do you care more about like the jobs in the area, or do you care more about school districts for rentals? Yeah, that's important.
Both, honestly. I mean, I'd say like Lakeway, you have both, right? And so it's like so like I just love the thought of like, oh, there's so much stability. Like I love that idea. But sometimes there's like a huge, like we bought one where Oracle was going in down South Austin. I don't care about the schools. There's going to be 1 million jobs there. So I think it just depends, So 1% meaning if you find a $100,000 house and you can get $1,000 in rent, buy it all day long. 1% of the sales price is your rent price. that's a quick, easy way to analyze the deal. That makes sense? Yeah. Also, everybody runs comps differently. So the way I run comps for rentals is I usually do it by just bedrooms. I don't care about the square footage like you do with sales. I just do the area, how many bedrooms, and that's like the quickest way because I can pull comps in like 2 seconds and know exactly like. And then age of the property is another big deal, but depends where you are. Like if you're downtown Austin, you might have a brand new house next to an older house, and if it's remodeled and done right, then you might be getting the same amount of rent. So age isn't always a huge factor. Just depends, you know. Cool. Yeah.
When you guys live in your properties, is there a financing reason why you're doing that? Like, are you getting a different type of mortgage on it, or?
Yeah. No, we're not. A lot of our deals are hard money just because we started young and we started our own company, so we couldn't get regular financing for a while. And plus a lot of the deals we found we needed to close quickly, so we have a lot of time just been left with hard money. It sucks. It's really, really high mortgage or interest. It's hard. And a couple of our deals have been interest only. Like that's one of our strategies is literally not caring about how the financing works. Like if we find a good deal and we can get it done, we do it. It literally has just been by chance on like, okay, we need somewhere to live and where we're living right now would be a good rental property. And if we can rent it out for what house were we in where we were like, we can get that much for rent? Let's get out of here. Oh. It was a property in Round Rock and we're like, we don't want any kids. Like we lived across the school from an elementary school across the street. I knew all the teacher drama because I was a teacher and I was like, okay, this is too much. We got to move. So we moved to Spicewood. Like we've moved all over. And we've lived in two of our properties have been other people's rentals that we were helping them with. We lived in a fourplex for 6 months where I was rehabbing the whole fourplex and she was giving me free rent to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was cool. And so those connections just came from property management. But the deals that we've lived in really has nothing to do with the financing aspect.
So you don't necessarily refinance them, like you'll keep the hard money loan going?
We keep it for a while and we'll refinance it when we can, usually like 6 months down the road once we can. And really it's not just refinancing because we care about the interest and stuff, it's more refinancing so we can pull money out and get another deal. 1 month of wasted rent because you're waiting on somebody who will pay more, just lower the price, you know? Yeah, it's crazy. Just as an investor, like accept that sometimes your cash flow is not going to be good, but if that means your property just appreciated a lot, then it's so worth it. Yeah, and it depends what your strategy is. Is your strategy long-term or short-term? And if you're looking for short-term cash flow, you really shouldn't be investing in the Austin market. San Antonio's awesome cash flow. We've heard that a lot.
A lot of people are borrowing money and flipping and losing money. Like I've talked to a lot of the hard money funds and they have 200 loans out and like 100 of them people are losing money.
It's so easy though.
And you think I got to go do that too. You just have to be smart about it.
You gotta be very careful.
By no means am I a financial guru, but this is kind of like what we've used in the past. Community banks is something we're getting really interested in too because they'll do kind of the same thing as private money, a little bit like hard loans, but it's just cool to have those relationships. The great thing about hard money is usually it's 10 to 15 days to close, so that's great if you need a quick deal, but typical interest is 9 to 12%, and then usually a 1.5, but Matt said, it can even go up to 4. Conventional financing obviously is your best option if you can get approved for it, and if you have the time, definitely go this route. Your interest is going to be so much less, and the terms are just always better. And then private money, if you can find any private lenders, that's also really great, and so you don't have to go the hard money route. And 200 basis points higher on interest, so that's usually it's 200 basis points higher in interest than a conventional loan with private, but it just depends who your private lender is, if you know anybody. I've heard a lot of people, who was I talking to? That they are always reaching out to like their friends, their friend's dad, they're like, you don't realize how many people that have money in the bank and want to get involved with investing. Nobody asked them. So especially if you have a tight knit group, yeah, like think about who you know. They might be interested in private lending. All right, so this is really where this is like my sweet spot is managing the deal. My biggest rule of thumb is just love on those tenants, love them, get them to stay as long as they can, give them Amazon gift cards, like really like treat them right. Do not make them your enemy. Like so many owners are like see the tenant as like less than, and it's like that's not the way it is anymore. Plenty of tenants can go out and buy their own home. They just don't want to right now, or it's too expensive for them. And they're like, I'd rather lease, and I'm not like tied to this place, and I don't have to worry about maintenance. Like they like the idea of it, but it doesn't mean that they don't have good credit. It doesn't mean that they don't make plenty of money. Like the people, I mean, we have a minimum credit score of 650. So if they're like a little lower than that and they want to work on their credit and it has nothing to do with leasing and they'll do like a little bit higher rent, I'll work with them is what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, like we have a lot of tenants in Austin that like they're doing great. So we treat them like customers and we make sure that we're taking good care of them. We do a yearly inspection of the property to make sure that it's up to code and that it's safe and that if we need to trim the trees, like what do we need to do to make this house better? We do that before we renew to a tenant, and we do it mostly for them. Okay, so if you're managing your own property, I have lots of friends and people who are managing their own, and they call me for advice all the time. Totally cool. Like if you want to manage your own property, like go for it. Just accept that it's going to be a little hard, and if you have the time to put into it, that's great. But if you're the person that's like, I want to chill on a Saturday and like drink my coffee early in the morning and you not call me and you're mad at them because they're calling you about their water dripping, just get a property manager. That's my biggest advice. Accept that it's going to be challenging. It's going to be time consuming. Tenants are tenants, right? So just, and also keep it professional. Always follow the lease. That's one of the greatest things about property management is I tell tenants, even owners, like, I will listen to your story all day long. Like I have a heart, I hear you, I sympathize with what you're going through, but I really have to follow the lease and it says that your rent's due on the 1st. And if you can't pay, I have to do what I have to do because everybody has to pay their bills. And I hear this a lot from people who choose to be a landlord, and the first time landlords especially, they're not ready to be tough and follow it. And really, you're going to really screw yourself if it goes to court because the tenant's going to go up and say, well, she said I could pay it on the 15th last month, and then this month I thought I could do the same thing. And then she also said it was fine that I had a cat and I didn't put them on the lease. The judge is going to say, your lease is now void because you chose not to follow it. So I've seen that happen. Just keep it professional. Give them a lease, make them sign it, follow it, give them a move-in inventory form, use it to return the deposit. Do all the addendums, the lease addendum, do a mold addendum. That's been a big deal for tenants trying to get out of their lease is claiming they have mold. I literally had somebody spray paint one time, mold, yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is very obvious that you spray painted your AC vent black. Yeah, so I've got so many stories. So also have a system for maintenance requests. Have a trackable system. So in the standard lease, it does say that maintenance requests have to be in writing. So make sure you follow that. If a tenant calls you and says, hey, this is happening, to ask them to have some sort of like portal or ask them to email it to you and track everything. So you can prove this email came in on this time. Here's when my guy went out. Here's where I got his invoice. This is what he did. I did everything I needed to do. The tenants love to try and get out of their lease based on you not fixing what you're supposed to fix. So just make sure you do that and have a system for emergencies. The phone will ring at 7 o'clock in the evening on July 4th when the fireworks are going off and your kids are playing. The phone will ring and something will be wrong. Make sure you have vendors that have your back and that will take care of emergencies for you, even if it's July 4th at 7 o'clock. If the AC goes out at a VRBO, you can't offer them a hotel credit for a weekend. No, they just pay to stay in your house. My people, if the AC goes out and my AC guys are like way backed up and there's a part on order, I give them a hotel credit and they're happy. They go stay at their mom's and they're like, cool, whatever. So it's very, very different. And I mean, the terms are, you got to have your good cleaning person and your inventory person who can make sure that nothing's broken or stolen. And the marketing's different. It's just constant touches. Our perfect world, this never really happens, is we do the lease, we move the tenants in, and we don't talk to them again until we're renewing their lease a year later. Well, if you're VRBO, you've literally talked to them 365 times, whatever, So it's a very different. So we don't do VRBOs. We have a really good contact who does. We actually do VRBOs for 2 of our houses, but we don't manage them. So yeah, we have a good guy who will. Know the laws, that's super important. Know the codes, they're changing all the time. They're becoming more and more and more tenant friendly as more landlords get involved, especially Travis County. If y'all haven't been to court in a while, like those judges love those tenants. I had an owner get in an argument today because she wanted to store PVC pipes and like nasty stuff like on the side of her shed, and she didn't see a problem with it. And I was like, you're gonna see a problem when a 5-year-old tries to get up all in that stuff and then climbs up it and then falls and hurts himself, and now they're suing you because your property was stored on and it's just junk. Anything that you just think like worst case scenario. And when you're walking through your house, could something happen? Could a kid fall and do something? Can I get sued? In fact, remind me about that if something I need to. just think like that, because it'll happen. I mean, if something happens at your property and a tenant says that is the landlord's fault, they absolutely will sue you, and they will tell their insurance provider, like if they're doing a claim, they will tell their insurance provider, well, the landlord, it's not my house. The insurance will find a way that it was your fault. So even if the tenant's really cool, like. Another note on that is we have petscreening.com. Write it down. It's awesome. So I make tenants do a screening for just their pets, and they have to validate the license numbers, their shots. It does the whole thing. They take a picture of it. So I require it for every pet, and then I require that they have their animals on their renter's policy. We require a $100,000 liability insurance policy. And
It was petscreening.com.
Petscreening.com. Yeah. It's funny because people will be like, yeah, I have, I have this dog. He's none of the, restricted breeds or anything. And then they take a picture and you're like, it's totally a pit bull. Like, I have nothing against them, but insurance companies do. And that's what I tell everybody. I'm like, I love them. I love every animal that God created, but the insurance will find a way to make it your fault. So, and a lot of insurance providers won't cover it on their renter's policy. That's like they have their own restricted breeds, and so do my landlord policies. So that's why we have to look for things like that. So what we've started doing is we offer a $1,000 guarantee to every owner for every pet. So we cover $1,000 worth of damage if an animal were to, let's say, destroy the backyard, and you give me a claim and say, okay, we got to get the grass redone. I'll pay $1,000 to get that grass done, but you don't get any deposit. Now, here's the reason we do that. We used to do anywhere from a $300 to $600 deposit, depending on the type of pet, how big it was, and all that. So I hold, let's say, $300, and the dog chewed up all of the baseboards. What are you going to do with $300? Nothing. So $1,000 gets owners a lot further. The $35, tenants love it. They don't have to come up with all this money. Y'all, it's expensive to move. Tenants are struggling when they have to move. They have to come up with a deposit. They have to cover their moving expenses. And and then they have to do the prorated rent, and it's a lot. So a lot of tenants are really struggling with that. So anything we can do to help. A lot of times tenants want to hide from their landlord because they're like scared of them and they're rude, and like that's not cool. Just be somebody that people want to talk to, and you'll get a lot more out of your tenants, and they'll a lot of times want to renew. Vacancies, make ready costs, commissions, like those are huge money eaters. I mean, that can like steal your whole year's worth of income. We do manage our own. That's really the reason we got involved. We wanted to really manage ours and our families and do it effectively and get new deals. But the management has become such a big thing that it's all I do on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, the 275 properties and the HOAs that we manage, that's all third party.
So I had a question on analyzing deals. So I think a lot of people have obviously heard of the Bigger Pockets for strategy. They have a calculator for their premium members. Do you guys think that that calculator is fairly accurate whenever you guys are running your own internal numbers? Or would you say that there are things that that calculator is either like not including or is going too much in depth where it's kind of hindering you guys moving forward or would hinder a newer buyable investor moving forward?
I'll answer this and I'll let you answer yours too, because I know you probably have a good answer. But we can save and add a lot of value on the management and on the maintenance side just by having good relations. So it depends if that's like over-calculated. A lot of times we'll be like, oh, we can do that cheaper, or, you know, what was your...
Yeah, no, we don't use it like that much, but the people that I have seen use it, I feel like it's a little bit too intense. Yeah, like this guy did a deal and he showed me it was negative. I'm like, that's a good deal. But it was like way overestimating everything.
They're probably trying to like
It's keeping
protect
you safe.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like if people are using that and they're like, you said this was a good deal, that, you know.
It's about
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Calculators over.
You just have to like help people, network, meet, and just like be quick. And we're doing it full time where it's really like it's super hard if you have a job. It's like I don't know how you could do it if you have a job because we can go look on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning on a property. So, but like, you know, maybe you just have to look at other markets. Like she said, San Antonio is a really good market. You can go buy 1% deals there all day. We manage some properties there. We're trying to get in there, but we're kind of like looking for a partner to help with the management.
Gotcha.
Accidental landlords, like they get a job transfer and they have to move
We
out.
call them owners versus investors. That are
Because
very,
it's
very different
because it's so
clients.
hard. Like we can't really grow our business on the management side by helping people buy 10 more properties. Because of what I just said. So most of them are just like, hey, we don't want to sell. We've seen a lot of appreciation. Can we keep it? And then they're barely cash flowing, so it's stressful for them.
Yeah, I find that 1% rule is really hard on fixed deals.
It's like it's
That's why we
of
don't like go buy it.
we've done it like 3 times in like 5. It's super hard.
Yeah, especially in office.
In office, yeah.
There yet to feel like.